And as you know, you can go to our website to see those UFO headlines. And you can come to our radio show and hear our great news correspondent, Jason McClellan, tell us all about it. Jason's here with me today. Hello, Jason.
Hello, Alejandro, and greetings, everyone. This is your Open Minds News Brief for Monday, May 23rd, 2011. The National Geographic Channel aired 2 television specials over the weekend dealing with the subjects of extraterrestrials, UFOs, and conspiracies. The first special, When Aliens Attack, looked at the scenario of Earth being attacked and invaded by hostile extraterrestrials and how humans would respond. The 2-hour special also explored the issue of communicating with extraterrestrials. The show featured a variety of experts like military personnel and scientists, including Seth Shostak, senior astronomer for the SETI Institute. Area 51 Declassified aired immediately following When Aliens Attack, and according to NatGeo, it revealed what's really been going on inside the most secretive place on Earth. But from the reviews of the show, they really didn't come through with that, didn't reveal anything that wasn't already known, and kind of hyped up a whole lot of nothing with the shows.
And I already know how humans would react if they got attacked by aliens. They would be pissed. They would be really upset.
Well, yeah,
They wouldn't like that.
don't imagine that we'd like being attacked by anybody, really.
Yeah.
I mean, being attacked by killer bees, it's not fun.
Yeah.
Being attacked by extraterrestrials. But again, this is a big sort of, I don't know, a popular theme right now. We see it in television shows and movies, this whole invasion of extraterrestrials.
Yeah, I think they just really quick came up with something to get on the bandwagon with the extraterrestrial attack type of thing. And not only that, of course, Area 51 being so big, the topic right now. So they tried to jump on that, and it just sounds like, and I've seen this before, we've all seen this, where these documentaries, they say they're going to be great and wonderful. One, of course, what's a marketer guy supposed to do? Watch the documentary and say, this isn't that great, so I'm going to tell people it's not that great. They're always going to say it's great, and then it turns out to be, like one guy said with the New York Daily News, that it was, I already knew everything, all that stuff before I watched the show, and this is someone who's not even really into this stuff.
Yeah, that's the general consensus. It was just a lot of hype.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. It was probably just the network wanting to jump on the bandwagon. They looked at all of their other peer networks. I mean, you've got Discovery, History, all these other channels, Sci-Fi, with all of their shows on the subject or on similar subjects.
Yeah.
And NatGeo says we need to get on that.
Yep. And if you feel different, let us know, our listeners. You can go to contact@openminds.tv and email us, or you can go to our Facebook. When we have a Facebook fan page, Open Minds Magazine, go there and tell us what you think if you feel differently, because obviously we didn't get to see it.
That's right. That's right. It'd be great to hear from listeners, to hear what other people thought. But just the reviews that I read and from the few people that I heard around here that watched the show weren't too impressed.
Yeah.
So, and you're right. Area 51 was an extremely hot topic last week, and still is this week. As a result, most likely, the release of a new book by journalist Annie Jacobson, which features interviews with ex-employees who claim to have worked at the secret military base. In Area 51, an uncensored history of America's top secret military base, Jacobson makes the claim that the famous Roswell UFO crash of 1947 was actually a Russian spacecraft with grotesque child-sized aviators developed in human experiments by Nazi doctor and war criminal Joseph Mengele at the direction of Joseph Stalin. This theory isn't that of Jacobson's, but rather something she was allegedly told by an anonymous source. And that particular portion of the book, which is a very small portion of the book, is what's grabbing all of the headlines.
Yeah,
every
so
major news source is carrying a story about this.
And that's what she's been saying. It's not a big part of the book. But, in an interview with Popular Mechanics, because I know they're very skeptical, and they think, the Air Force has already told us what's happened with Roswell. So I've been waiting for them to kind of come out and say, well, this doesn't make sense. But they interviewed her, and they kind of pinned her down to, it's just this one anonymous source. And she admitted she brought this to the other engineers that worked at Area 51, who helped her with her book, and she floated this idea past them. All of these people are not anonymous. They use their names in the book, and they all said they had never heard of that. Some of them saying that it's ridiculous. Some of them saying that it's possible because we didn't know what was going on. And in fact, we're going to have a book review up from Michael pretty soon here, and I know he's mentioned that a lot of top secret projects, important ones that went on at Area 51 that we know happened there, aren't in her book. So it's only a small slice of what went on there, what these engineers worked on, which is Oxcart, which is kind of boring because that was just a predecessor to SR-71, some of the U-2 stuff, some of the older stuff.
Right.
Not the sexier stuff like the Stealth or the Bird of Prey, which is one Michael talks about, this really crazy-looking plane that they tested out there for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it, you know. I'll read the book, but it's a little frustrating that the news would latch on to a small story in this big book, and I've seen many news sources actually give it credibility, you know, based off this one anonymous source. They're maybe they don't know, or they're just choosing not to bring up the fact that there are many named sources who were witnesses to Roswell, people who were actually involved with the recovery and things like that.
I think the issue is they don't know, and which is really unfortunate because it would just take a little bit of research. Don Schmidt, who we mentioned earlier, he actually gave us an opinion piece, an editorial, guest editorial we're posting tomorrow. He's done a ton of research, and like you said, he's talked to named witnesses. These are retired military. Some of these are deathbed confessions. These are people, an abundance of witnesses who have given their name, who were who they say they were, and that's a lot more credible than an unnamed witness.
And also, by the way, we do have our special Roswell issue of Open Minds magazine that is on the shelves right now.
Yep.
And Don Schmidt has more than one article in there.
He's got one article, but then I wrote an article on him and his background.
Right.
And then, of course, we have the Stanton article, both of which are chock full of witnesses and evidence. And, I mean, if you can get a good idea on why these people believe that what Roswell happened. And more than that, Don Schmidt has evidence of or eyewitness testimony to these people seeing the creatures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and he makes a good point in his article. If this supposed Russian plane, which they stole from the Germans, which allegedly wasn't even flying, was full of these children that were mutilated, which is her idea, that the Germans literally mutilated these children and put them in there so they look like aliens. Who was flying? You know?
Remote control.
Yeah, well.
An RC UFO.
In 1947.
Advanced technology, my friend.
Guess so.
The Nazis did have a super UFO program going on.
Well, they had missiles. We know that.
Oh, it is an interesting theory. So, kind of interesting to see a new take on it.
Yeah, and I don't think it's one of those things. It's another theory that comes up. The media has taken off with it. They're being pretty biased, unfortunately, not covering all angles. But
holy cow, are they covering it?
Yeah, they're covering it. I mean, they're covering it not just one story, but two. I mean, Huffington Post had a story today. This is their second story. They already wrote a story on this.
Right.
And now they have another one out.
It's popular.
Yeah.
Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know.
Hopefully it's bringing us hits to our website.
Well, we'll have to look at that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Scientists are aiming a radio telescope at select planets in hope of detecting alien signals. According to Space.com, this new search began 2 weeks ago and comes just 1 month after the SETI Institute was forced to suspend their operations due to budget problems. The radio telescope is targeting 86 planets that have been selected as worlds most likely to resemble Earth. NASA's Kepler telescope provided the data that allowed scientists to make this determination. The new search for extraterrestrial signals is led by University of California, Berkeley astronomers and utilizes the Robert C. Byrd Green Bank Telescope in West Virginia, the largest steerable radio telescope in the world. Once the scan of all 86 planets is complete, the data will be made available to amateurs involved with the SETI at Home project. As Space.com explains, SETI at Home harnesses the power of many interconnected home computers, using them as sort of a supercomputer to analyze mountains of data. There are an estimated 1 million people who participate in the SETI at Home project. And I remember a story from more than a year ago, I believe. It was actually an IT person at a high school here, I think in Chandler, Arizona, who was caught putting the SETI at Home software on the school's servers.
Yeah, on the school computers, and he got canned for it. So, yeah, not a good idea for the IT guys.
No, probably should keep that at home.
Yeah.
But again, looks like we're back to listening to radio signals.
Well, that's what they do. And yeah, I mean, people have to remember what was shut down was one array.
Right.
So they still have access to a few different facilities like this one here we just talked about. So, yeah, they're not out by any means.
Oh, not at all. They do a lot more than just the one telescope array.
SETI's not going anywhere.
Oh, no. This is an interesting story that you had on the website, Alejandro. But Salvatore Calderone of the Centro Ufologico de Benevento, also known as the CUBMG, in Italy, sent us a UFO photo last week. Although the picture dates back to 2007, CUBMG staff manager Angelo Carinante was just sent the picture by its photographer. Carinante forwarded the picture to their image analyst, who believes it is a genuine unknown. They have ruled out the possibility of the object being an insect, bird, natural phenomena, or conventional aircraft, and find the egg-shaped and metallic silver color particularly interesting. We have an egg-shaped UFO.
Yeah, like this egg, this metal egg in the sky. It is a pretty weird picture. You know, that's why, well, it's great when we have these contacts, like we had the Korean guy. He hasn't sent us anything lately, but now we have this Italian guy works for that organization. That is difficult for us to say. But it's fun when they send us stuff and sightings, you know, because we don't get to see the foreign sightings as much. The American ones are easy for us to find, so that's interesting. And it's always fun, too, to hear about these organizations in other countries to see.
It is, and there are so many. We hear about these all the time, and organizations that are actually doing, you know, scientific analysis and you know, sending off photos to be analyzed and videos to be analyzed. And these are organizations that actually have staff members, and it's kind of cool to hear about.
Who knows? We could have an Italian listening right now who didn't even know they could send somewhere or send their photos to someone locally, and now they know.
Always glad to help.
Yep.
Excellent. So there was a great video last week. It's my favorite video from last week. It was a flying car UFO.
Yeah.
And it was captured on video with a time-lapse camera by Brett Anthony, a meteorologist at the NBC affiliate KSHB in Kansas City, Missouri, last Tuesday night. The video shows the full moon in the night sky, followed by the appearance of two lights resembling car headlights zipping through the sky. Anthony ruled out the International Space Station as possible explanation for the lights, as that was visible in Kansas City at 5 a.m., and the flying car sighting occurred at 10 p.m. A woman who witnessed the lights in the sky on Tuesday night posted a comment on the KSHB website sharing her opinion that the lights were from a medical helicopter, but no official identification has been made.
Yeah, that's such a weird video, and of course the fun part of that is they're messing around saying maybe it was Harry Potter.
Right.
And it does. It looks like this car that kind of comes off screen, and it turns and then goes towards the camera and flies above, kind of over. It was a really interesting video, I thought.
It was pretty cool.
It was fun.
And you know, one of my pet peeves with people who watch videos and then want to post a comment is many people choose not to read. They don't read descriptions.
Yeah.
They don't read accompanying articles, so they don't understand the details of the story, of the video, of the photo. And in this case, I saw the same thing. It clearly stated it was a time-lapse photo. That's what they were using it for. It was a weather cam, and they were showing a time-lapse of the full moon moving through the sky. And so people had all their conspiracy theories about, oh, it looks like the video has been slowed down. Or if you read the description, it says it was a time-lapse photo. So.
But the movement was fun with the time-lapse, too, because it's like this. It's almost like a cartoon, this thing.
Oh, yeah. It zooms through the sky, then changes direction and comes right at the camera.
Yeah. And I love seeing the news cast because they were having a lot of fun with it. I mean, the meteorologist who showed this was genuinely surprised. He didn't know what it was. And even I think one of his coworkers said, "Did you do that? Did you just create that?" And he's like, "No, I did not manipulate that at all. That's real." So they were all floored. They didn't know what it was.
Yeah, and they encouraged viewers to write in if they knew what it was, and they really didn't get any responses. So, so yeah, that was a fun video. And we do have the link to that on our website, and we have an article about it as well. In other news, a team of scientists from Paris, France have announced that they believe the planet Gliese 581d to be habitable. After its discovery in 2007, Gliese 581d was initially thought to be too cold to sustain life. But based on their new study, the team of scientists think they have a winner with Gliese 581d. Gliese 581d is a rocky planet and has a mass at least 7 times that of Earth and is estimated to be about twice its size. The team's study was published in the Astrophysical Journal Letters. And round we go with this habitable planet thing. You know, just at the end of last year, we were talking about Gliese 581g that they determined was suitable for life, habitable, in the habitable zone.
In the Goldilocks zone.
And now they don't even think it exists.
Oh, really?
They don't think 581g exists.
Oh,
they think it was just sort of like radio noise or something.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, there's debate whether or not that planet even exists. And now we're back to saying that D is habitable.
After all the news on 581g, they're not sure if it exists.
That's right.
Certainly not an exact science, huh?
Well, after all, it is 20 light years from Earth, so it's probably pretty difficult to know for sure.
Well, hopefully, I don't know if I'm stealing your thunder. You'll just have to move the story up if I am. The trees.
No, go ahead and speak about the trees.
Yeah, they can have a system where they may be able to tell if a planet has trees or not.
Yep.
I wonder if it's the same kind of thing. That's pretty exciting.
It is.
Are we going to run across that where, oh, it has trees? No, the planet doesn't exist. No, it's a sun, you know. But it's interesting, these things, and how sure they are at the time when they make these discoveries.
That's
and
right.
then they backpedal.
And, you know, you can give them an excuse of saying it's 20 light years from Earth.
Yeah.
That's so far away.
It is.
And we have this story. Astronomers have found 10 potential planets wandering through the Milky Way galaxy with no apparent orbit.
Yeah.
They just found out about this. And these aren't just little planets moving around freely. They are reportedly as massive as Jupiter. A physicist from the University of Notre Dame, along with colleagues from Japan, New Zealand, and elsewhere, are the scientists responsible for the new discovery, and their findings were published in the journal Nature. While the announcement of these rogue planets is surprising, perhaps even more surprising is just how common these orbitless planets may be. As the Huffington Post pointed out, the team of scientists speculates that these planets may be more common than the stars. So forget about knowing whether or not a planet exists or not that may be in the Goldilocks zone. We've got these random, humongous Jupiter balls floating around with no orbit.
Yeah, just in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It just goes to show, which is just a frustration, I guess, with some of these SETI guys or Shostak or some of them. They're so certain all the time. All of their statements are, oh, we're so sure about X, Y, Z. And then it's just so unwise. And it's unscientific, honestly, for them to be so certain about all of these things when they aren't certain at all. And when history shows that the majority of times in science, when you make a statement that this is for sure, it turns out to be just the opposite.
I think we've learned there is no absolute, and we don't know anything.
Yeah, they've just got to learn. They got to take that cue that perhaps this is the case. This indicates so far that this is the case.
Based on what we've seen, this is likely, but we don't know.
Yeah. We don't know. We got to teach these guys. Maybe we have to put together a little course, a lecture that we go and perform at these scientific institutions called the I Don't Know course. Everybody say it with me. I don't know. It's
and that's the answer to every single question on the test. Yeah, exactly. Who knows? But you know what? That's the to me, that's the exciting thing about space.
Yeah, I know.
So unknown.
The unknown is exciting, people.
Even with all of our satellites and everything out there, taking all the pictures we do, doing all the tests we do, all of the rovers we put down on the moon and anywhere else, we still don't know anything.
And we've got to be comfortable with not knowing, because the more we discover, and we discover more all the time, the more we discover we don't know. There's more to it, and there's more we need to discover.
Right.
That's great. We're always going to be looking and discovering.
Because if you're going to be that guy who goes out on the limb and sets your absolute, you're going to be like the Joker who said we shouldn't be here right now. So.
Right. You'll be like this goofball who says the world...
he still says it's going to end on October 21st,
right. Yeah.
so we'll make fun of him again on October 21st.
Yeah.
All right, Alejandro, that is it for the news. Remember to check out these stories and more at openminds.tv, your source for UFO-related news. I'm Jason McClellan, your Open Minds news correspondent, and you've been briefed. Back to you, Alejandro.